The Almost Perfect Podcast.
Welcome to the Almost Perfect Podcast, a celebration of fuck-ups, failures, and falling flat on your face. This is a podcast that believes you can learn from experience, but that experience doesn't have to be your own. Ha, I'm Bob Perfect, and I'm a functional fuck-up. Let's learn from somebody else's mistakes. And today we're learning from P-Kuttah. Now, P-Kuttah, real name Verdine Peterson, is a DJ slash producer slash events organizer. And he's a turntablist extraordinaire. He specializes in hip-hop music. And while he's based in Jozi, he actually got his start in the music scene. And his music career started right here in Durban back in the day. So we get a cool little history lesson in this episode. That we talk about a lot of things that, I don't know, some of you youngsters might not know about. Some bands, some projects, some radio stations, some, I don't know, just lots of stuff that went down back in the day that you might not know about. Verdine was also part of a band called Tree Houses on the Sea, which Durbanites, like older Durbanites, will know quite well. They were really, really good. And we were like, they were one of those bands that we all were like, yeah, they're gonna make it. But as happens in Durban quite a bit, or at least used to happen back in the day, we all used to latch onto these bands that we thought were amazing here in Durban. And even when the bands toured, people would be like, yo, you guys are so good. You guys should, move to Joburg. And that's what T.H.O.T.S on the Sea did. And things unfortunately didn't really work out. So we talk a little bit about that. But yeah, we talk about how Verdine got into DJing, how he stood out from the crowd. What we get into, vinyl, like heavily. We talk a lot about, what makes being a turntablist, something that he loves doing so much, and how it's different to, just regular DJing. What's the difference between hip-hop DJing and other kinds of DJing. And just all in all, we also learn how he navigated the DJ scene back in the day, how he got booked, how he got put on and stuff like that, which I think will be pretty useful for some people. We also chat about he was a part of an events company up in Joburg called Kool Out. They did a lot of rad hip-hop events and stuff. So yeah, man, we get into a lot of different things. Verdine's done a lot. But he's looking to get back into the game in terms of DJing hard and also producing. He's producing an EP at the moment. So that's something to look forward to. I mean, I went back and listened to some other stuff now because he mentioned it. But I'd only heard some work he had done with Stogie T. And yeah, man, he's a talented producer. And he's also just a really good DJ. We also chat about the current state of, turntablism in South Africa, hip-hop DJing and that. We chat about Ryan the DJ, who's in another Durbanites and stuff. So yeah, this is a dope chat. If you love hip-hop, if you love DJing, if you love history of Durban kind of stuff, and if you love hearing, about how someone can make things work for themselves in the South African music industry, well, yeah, you're going to enjoy this podcast. I want to say thanks, as always, for listening. If this is your first time, shout-outs to you. If it's not your first time, also shout-outs to you. Much appreciated. Been having a little bit of a rough time lately. If you subscribe to the newsletter that I send out sporadically, you would know that. You would, if you've listened to previous episodes, you'd know I sent a CV for a job. I actually got the job. I started training for the job. And then they told me that, they don't need people anymore. So, no longer have that job. And so that's just been a bit of a roller coaster to go through at the moment. And, I wrote a thing about it. So if you want to know more about how I'm doing in terms of that, go check out the newsletter. I've posted it everywhere on all the social media platforms. And if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, you can do so just by clicking on a link that should be wherever you find this podcast. There should be somewhere there. It'll say sign up to newsletter. Go sign up there. I'm looking to do more of those. I just want to write as much as possible this year. It's very much one of my goals. And so I think the newsletter is a cool way to exercise that. It's like little essays and stuff. And they'll be about a variety of different topics as time goes on. Other than that, you guys know the deal. You can like us on Facebook, the Almost Perfect Podcast there. We're on Twitter, almost_podcast. And yeah, just share this thing, please. Let people know about it. I'm hoping, it grows a little bit more than it has been. I feel like the last few episodes have really been quite good. I think it's getting better, man. Like, I genuinely, I listen back when I'm editing this, I'm like, cool, you're actually doing a pretty decent job here, You're listening, you're filling in with nice questions, with interesting anecdotes and things like that. So I don't know, this is becoming a podcast I want to listen to, and so maybe your friends want to listen to it too. So let them know about it. Just share the thing wherever you can. You can also like and subscribe and do all of those things. Leave comments. Reviews on iTunes matter. Those are things that people really care about. Well, not people, not like you and me people, but the people in terms of the algorithms and things like that. The algorithms and blues, as the Weed Dealer song goes. And yeah, other than that, you can go to patreon.com/almostperfect. That is where you can subscribe to our Patreon account. This is a thing that people do overseas, which we can also maybe do here. I don't know, maybe it's a thing. A few people subscribe to it. It's basically like a level of, I don't know, you get extra access to the podcast. You can ask questions and you can suggest guests and stuff. Like this week I put out a post asking, who do you guys want to hear on this podcast? And there were a few cool suggestions put out there. And I know I've been a bit slack with the asking people to ask questions, and I'm going to do that a bit more. So if you want to ask guests on this podcast questions and you want to suggest guests and stuff like that, we also do giveaways and various other things. Go over to patreon.com/almostperfect. There's 2 tiers, I think. There's $1 and there's $5. So it's the buy me a beer tier and the buy me a banky tier. The buy me a beer tier is 14 Rand a month, and the buy me a banky tier is 50 Rand a month or 60 Rand a month, I think. Either way, yeah. Head over there, patreon.com/almostperfect. And other than that, yeah, I don't really have much else to share with you at the moment. Here comes the Almost Perfect Podcast with P-Kuttah. So how you living, Verdine?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me here, bro. It's it's really good, to be back in Durban. This is my first Durban trip for 2020, 20 plenty, as everyone has been calling it. Yeah, man, it just feels good to be back home, This is Durban holds a very, very special place in my heart, It's actually where I started my career as a DJ when I moved here in 2002 from Joburg. So yeah, it really it has a lot of sentimental value being back here, and just seeing how also the city has changed, culturally, agriculturally, and even from an entertainment perspective, because there's so much more now than there was before when I was here, So it's just good to see Durban finally getting getting somewhere, especially for the youth, and because it wasn't not that I don't think it wasn't youth orientated, but there wasn't really much for the youth to do that time.
No, Durban's always had this weird thing of a bit of a student culture, but not really.
Yeah, true. Yeah, very true, man. Very true. So it kind of seems like that's grown a bit in Durban. And yeah, it's just nice to finally see that there's options. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can do multiple things.
Yeah, now there's more things than just having to go to the beach or going to a Sharks game or something.
Yeah. So what brought you here in 2002?
Well, so my father, he's late, rest in peace, was a jazz musician. He was a jazz pianist. And he had been contracted at Sun City. He used to play in the Palace Hotel. He used to play piano in the Crystal Court. And he was contracted there for just over a decade. So when his contract ran up, he had an offer from Durban. I can't remember what the place was called. I think it might have been called the Blue Lounge or something like that. But it was in Mshlanga or something. It's somewhere that side. And he got this contract to be a resident playing piano over there. So he was Sun City doesn't look like they're gonna renew his contract. So he was yo, you know what? Let me go. Back, because he's also also Durbanite. Was actually originally born in Ladysmith, but a lot of my father's I would say he's the pivotal years of his career was spent in Durban. So he was let's just go back to Durban. So at that time, I had just finished with high school, and I took a year break because I just wanted to kind of figure out what I was doing. And in that space, I was also kind of messing around with a few other things. I was actually studying culinary arts because I was very interested in cooking and because Like I almost felt like, you know, making music and cooking was kind of like
I was
the same
about
thing.
to say,
you know,
there's
like
so many similarities
yeah,
between
exactly.
DJing and cooking.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's using
man.
different ingredients.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, and you experiment with it, and you know, so like I took a liking to it, and when I decided that I was gonna fully go into music, was actually when I moved to Durban, and so I would say it was my father moving here, but at the same time, I wanted something different as well. You know,
Sure.
I spent a majority of my my youth in Joburg and in Rustenburg, because that's where.
Okay.
Well, not actually Rustenburg. We stayed on Sun City, but Rustenburg was the closest city to
Yeah.
us. So I mean, those I was up and down. You know, throughout my primary and high school from Joburg to Northwest Province, and I also kind of feel like I just wanted something new as well. And to be honest, like my parents and them actually cut me off. They were just like, "Yo, if you want to stay in Joburg, you need to provide for yourself, then, you know, because we're not gonna pay your rent."
And you're like, I
And
can't do that right
look,
now.
I did try. I won't even lie. I did try. I think I survived for like 7 months.
Hey, not bad. For the first go.
Yeah, I survived for 7 months, but it was
Especially
just
back then. Like,
yeah, no doubt. But
it was
but the
tough.
thing is, I was staying at a friend's house with his family, and you know, it was kind of getting a bit awkward after a while, you know. And yeah, like things weren't really picking up as quick as I wanted them to, especially from a DJing perspective, because also at that time there wasn't a lot of spots that were open, you know, and
you
hip hop
were
was
vinyl
still
from the start as well.
yeah, and hip hop was still, you know, coming up as a culture in the country, you know what I mean. So there wasn't really a lot of places. So when you were getting bookings, they were far and in between, you know, because like I said, that there just wasn't a lot of parties. If I was a house DJ,
You
I would have
in-
gotten a
in
lot
there,
of more gigs. So I was just like, you know what, let me rather just see what's up in Durban. You know, my pops also kind of helped me out because he was like, yo, come down here. I've got a friend who owns a sound engineering school. His name was Bruno Redoff. Very popular, famous musician from Durban as well. Plays piano as well. Owns a few studios in the around Durban. I wonder if he's actually still around. But yeah, so my father knew this guy, and he was like, yo, you know, this guy can, you know, teach you, like, give you a course for like a special price, like a friend price kind of thing. So, and I thought about it. I was like, you know, I've always wanted to study sound engineering. So I was like, okay, cool. Then, you know, it gives me more incentives to come down. And then I moved down 2002. It was cool. I did the course. To be honest, the course was a waste of time. Because all that happened was I did it for like, I think it was 8 months. I got a certificate and I was sent on my way, you know.
That happens a lot though with those like music courses, especially in the age of YouTube.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff that you can go and learn from an official place, it's just about having the certificate. You can get that. You can get the education just by doing the thing, like literally just by getting records.
Yeah,
and, like,
very true, man. Very, very
turntables
true.
to teach
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, so I just want, but like at least it taught me a lot, you know. It taught me about how to measure sound, you know, cymatics and all that stuff, and
this was before YouTube. So.
yeah, exactly. So it was cool, man. I did learn and I did use a lot of what I learned in my DJing career. But I thought that after that, you know, I was probably going to be offered a position in one of his studios, you know, as like maybe a, you know, junior sound engineer or something. It wasn't even like that. He was just like, all right, well, here's a certificate, you're good.
Good luck.
So, you know, good luck, go out there and, you know,
And did it get you anywhere?
Nah, not at all, man. Like I tried to apply for like radio spots, like East Coast Radio.
Yeah.
What was that other spot called again? I think it was. What was that radio station called? Because I remember that time it was Kozi, it was East Coast Radio, it was Lotus,
yeah.
and there was something else. There was another radio station that I think kind of became Gagasi. But I can't remember what it was called. There was this other radio station was perceived as the youth radio station.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember now because I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I also can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
And then obviously there was DYR, Durban Youth Radio, but that was a community-based radio station at time. So I was like, yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, wow. I thought it was different because I see they've got like a nice studio there in Florida.
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff.
like sponsored and stuff essentially. Like they work good deals with the people who manage the properties on Florida Road. So
okay, I see.
It's a cool deal because, you know, they like through the radio they bring people, you know, or bring awareness about Florida Road and stuff like that.
Cool.
So
That's actually pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, when I done community radio station when I was in Joburg, I used to be on VOS, Voice of Soweto.
Okay.
So I know community radio stations do not pay, you know.
Yeah, not at all.
So
but did you find that experience useful though?
Where?
At VOF.
Oh, VOS. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was dope. That was my first introduction into radio. I used to co-host on this one DJ show, DJ Bionic.
Cool.
Who actually became my mentor. Was the guy that actually got me into DJing. And he used just to like give me a little segment, like a 15-minute, 20-minute segment where I would talk about like hip hop news and like give a youthful perspective because I was the youngest guy in the room at that time. So so that was pretty cool. It gave me the introduction, and I also learned how to use like a desk and stuff, and how to put on mics, mute mics, and all this answer calls.
You've seen those mixing desks for the first time.
Yeah,
it's quite intense.
it is.
Like desk there, like we're like it's not just like a little 4-channel mixer.
No, man, it's so like there's so many different channels and there's all these buttons and you're just like, what do you do? And then at least they were just like, no, man, these are the most important ones. That's to switch it on, that's to switch it off, that's if you're gonna answer a call. Like I was like, once I had that, it's like, this one here plays the jingles. You play the jingles off the laptop, off the computer. I'm like, okay, cool, there we go. Like I know how this works. So that was my first experience into it. And then when I was trying to search for something to do here, but I was looking more for producing like shows as opposed to like trying to do my own show. And obviously, I had no experience. Nobody knew who I was. I was this new kid from Joburg, So it's just like, it got to a point where I was kind of becoming depressed a bit because like nothing was happening,
Yeah.
And then I took a bit of a break. My cousin who used to work at the Wild Coast, he was a croupier at the Wild Coast.
Your family loves working at
a lot of them do. But he actually grew up that side. His father was like, used to do the entertainment setups at Wild Coast Sun.
Okay.
So like we all that was actually a place we used to go for holidays, the Wild Coast Sun.
Because if you're at Sun City, like you can't go to holiday there.
Yeah, sure, exactly. So we used to go there. So he was working there and he was like, yo man, why don't you just come through here? Let's see what's up. Maybe you can either take a break or you can come and check what's good this side. So that was in Port Edward. So I stayed in Port Edward for like...
I love Port Edward.
Yeah, about 5 or 6 months. I stayed out there. It was cool. It was just a nice break. Yeah, it's very quiet. It was just a very nice break to take. And it also kind of like got my mind straight, at the same time. And when I came back to Durban, my aunt actually hooked me up with a job. She was like, yeah, Verdine, you can't be doing nothing, like here's a job if you want it. So I was like, okay, cool, what's the job? And she was like, you're working at telephone betting at Greyville Racecourse. So I was like, oh wait, what am I doing? My call operators. She's like, yeah. I'm like, yo, I hate that job because call operators, like, yo, they have no lives, to be honest. Especially if you're working for like an operating company that requires you to work over weekends, and the weekends are the most important. So your weekends are gone. So it was just one of those things like
that conflicts with your DJing.
Yeah, especially now I'm still trying to, I'm still trying out.
And you can't tell people like, oh, I can't play that game.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go to my job.
So it's funny, like the first almost a year I think I worked there. I was a call operator, and then one day I just went to my boss and I was like, yo man, I don't like this position. Not that I don't appreciate it, but I don't really like it. And it's nerve-wracking, man, because sometimes you're dealing with punters who have like big crazy money, and if you make a mistake, that comes out of your pocket.
I worked at Hollywood Bets for a while. Like,
oh yeah.
Like I did a different job, luckily I never had to like pay for any of my mistakes. Because one mistake I made cost like 80 grand. Which
wow.
Was just, like...
I made a mistake for I think like it might have been 3.5. But there was, I think 3,500, but there was
I thought you said million.
Oh, no, hell, I wouldn't be here if I would have left the country, man, shit. Like 3.5, like, was my highest mistake, but when I worked there was a lady that made a mistake for like 60K, and I was just like, damn, man, like, you literally have a job for the rest of your life, because obviously they can only take a certain percentage off, and then they pay a certain percentage as well. But the majority, I think they pay like 30%, and then the 70% is on you.
That can't be legal anymore.
Yeah. I'm sure it's not. I don't know. But that time it was crazy, man. Like, so everyone was on their fucking toes, because you don't want to make this mistake, and you're trying your best to pay attention and listen to the numbers and listen to the type of bet. So the good thing with me was that I was very vigilant and strict with work. You know what I mean? So I was there on time. Only time I wasn't there was when I was sick, that type of thing. So my boss kind of saw that, and he was like, okay, look, man, you actually have done pretty well. You did make that one mistake, but you worked it through. I did extra hours just so I could pay it off. And he was like, okay, cool. There might be a position opening for you. A position opening up that you can apply for. I was like, okay, cool. And so what's the position? He was like, no, working in the cold room. Now the cold room is the room that stacks all the recording the recording devices that listen to the calls. So when a mistake is made and a punter phones in and he's like, yo, listen, there was a mistake on my bet, Then we go to the call room and listen to the bed to see if it was correct. If it's incorrect, we call the person down to the call room. We play the message for the session for them. They hear the mistake. We see where your mistake was, and then it's like, okay, cool. Now we need to prepare them for how much the bed could cost. Sometimes it was nothing. Sometimes it was like crazy. I had to break the news to this chick that she owed 60K. You know, like, and that shit is not fun, bro. It's like,
it's not fun for anyone involved.
Yeah, because man, she started crying immediately, and
Of course.
I'm just like, damn, you know, like I don't know what to do here. And that also was one of the reasons that made me like decide to push like my DJing more. I was like, no, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, you know. And then when my father passed away, that was like the real last push, because I was like, yo, my father was an entertainer. He was a musician.
I was gonna say, did you
whole
get like,
life,
a lot of your
you know?
musicality from
Yes,
it?
yeah, definitely. You know, he was a musician his whole life, and he made a living off of this. And I was like, man, I'm pretty sure I can do the same thing, you know.
Well, it's very different.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, no, that is definitely very different. But I was like, I'm sure I can, you know. And there was a gap at that stage, you know, like there was
DJing an up and coming thing? Because I'm trying.
No, not necessarily that DJing was up and coming, but there was a gap for a hip hop DJ.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because there were hip hop DJs, but nobody was really owning it.
Sure.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna push for this. I'm gonna start promoting myself. I'm gonna start going to all these places where I should be going to. So, you know, being seen, you know, doing gigs for free if I need to, you know what I mean? And it eventually started getting to a point where people started recognizing, oh shit, this guy has a pretty unique talent, you know. He's a pretty dope DJ that plays differently from most of the DJs that are here. And then it started growing, you know. It eventually started growing, and then then my nights were becoming more hectic, and I was missing days of work. And then my boss just told me one day when I walked in, he was just like, yo, Verdine, you need to make a decision what you want to do. Do you want to work here, or do you want to follow your career? But I'm happy that he gave me the option, you know what I mean? Because most people would just be like, look, man, you're slacking, whatever, you're fired type thing. But he understood, you know, and he was like, yo, what do you want to do? And then I was like, you know, I think it is time for me to go. And he was like, yeah, I think you need to do what you want to do. So that was my last day ever. I was actually supposed to work. I just went home. And then I sat there and I was just like, yo, how do I make this work? You know what I mean? And then I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to push as much as I can. And then I started visiting. I think there was a radio station that used to be in Berea.
Wasn't that T.H.O.T.S?
I think it was. I think it was actually. Yeah, before they moved to Workshop and then they moved to Florida.
Well, they did Workshop then.
But then they moved somewhere else. They were at Bat Center.
I started there. I was at Bat Center, and then we moved to Florida.
I had no idea that they were at Bat Center. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was I think one of the worst periods for the.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
It was not great. You could hear the tugboats busy like.
Oh, and then they.
Like whilst you're on air, you're busy doing a link.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
then there's a tugboat, which gives you the Durban flavor.
Yeah, sure, exactly. But yeah, that's crazy.
So they were in Berea Center.
Yeah, so yeah, I used to go there.
Because they were major hip hop back then.
Yeah, they had a few guys that were playing hip hop. They had hip hop shows. Swiss actually was the homie that I used to go and check out. So Swiss also kind of like helped me out, because he was like, okay, cool, man, you can actually come and play sets here. I'll give you like half an hour. You can play your sets on here. And I started playing sets on DYR, and then eventually the name started getting out, and then I became a resident at Hip Hop Ngama Nights, which used to happen at Bat Center. It was a castle thing. When I became a resident there, then the doors really started opening, because now more people. Yeah,
it's also branded.
Yeah. And it's just like it was a really busy like that. I think it was every Thursday, and it was packed, man. At one stage, I think the Ngama Nights was seen as one of the best parties in South Africa. At one stage, we used to get people that used to drive down from Joburg just to see this party, because they'd be like, "Yo."
That sense has been like that at times. Like
no
years,
doubt. And that year it was. And when Ngaba was around, it was crazy, man. It was just a salad dope, and it was free also, you know, so anybody could come. So when that happened, and I got that residency, and you know, more doors started opening, and then I started getting booked for things like the Vodacom Beach Festival when that was still around. And playing.
How do you do that? Like, and so you're saying you were just getting, you know, in the beginning you were like, I'll play for free, that kind of thing. How do you actually do that? Do you just go to promoters and be like...
Yeah, man, I used to roll up on guys and just tell them, look, I'm a DJ, I play hip hop, and yeah, man, if you're looking for a hip hop DJ, like, just let me know. Here's my number, give me a call, you know, and guys would be like, yeah, how much do you charge? And I was like, yeah, you know what?
The first one's free.
First one's free, so you can see what's up, you know, because I'd rather show and prove. You know what I mean? So when you see like, oh, wow, this guy's actually pretty good, then I can put value to the name, you know.
So for you, it's about getting your foot in the door.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
early on.
And once I knew I was in the door, I was just gonna dominate that shit.
But like that's the thing. You were working on your skills at home, kind of
Yes,
thing.
yeah. So I had my own setup at home. I used to practice like 4 hours a day, like religiously. Especially when I quit my job, because then I was like, I had the time, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, so through these doors opening, other really dope doors opened as well. And then I ended up being heard by Trevor Williams, who was on East Coast Radio, and also like one of the, like the most legendary DJ presenters and celebrities in Durban. And then he heard me and he was like, wow, this guy is actually pretty dope. He liked the way I play, and he was like, yo,
well, what set you apart from other people at that time?
I think it was the skill, to be honest.
Like just your actual
like the technicality. Yeah, the technicality, because I mean there were DJs like Andre, there was DJs like Insiga, there was NK, you know, Zeke. There were a few guys that were out there that were already playing, you know, and they were good DJs because they had a good ear. But they just didn't have the technicality to go with it.
I would assume your name comes from that, your ability to like cut on the brakes.
Yeah. Because I used to call myself Paper Cut.
Yeah,
that time. Exactly. Yeah, 2 Paper Cut. Yeah. And then I changed it because there were 2 other Paper Cuts in the country as well. And it just became a thing because the other guy was actually a hip hop DJ and he was in Joburg.
So that's definitely,
Yeah, it starts because we were actually getting props for each other's work at one stage. Like people would come up to me and be like, "Oh, yo, I like that mix you did on, you know, YFM the other week," and I'm like, nah, that wasn't me. They're like, but ain't you Paper Cut? I'm like, no, there's another Paper Cut as well. I'm PAYPERKUT. He's PAPERCUTT.
But P-Kuttah just...
Yeah, so P-Kuttah, that was always like kind of like an alias that I used, and I got that idea because I'm a very big Jay Dilla fan. I don't know if you might know him, he's a producer.
Yeah, I've heard of Jay Dilla.
I know, dope. So I was a very big Jay Dilla fan, and I mean he used to go by the name JD before, JAYDEE, and he changed it to Jay Dilla because people were starting to confuse him with Jermaine Dupri because he called himself JD as well. So he came up with the Jay Dilla. So I was like Paper Cut, P-Kuttah, Jay Dilla, JD.
So you literally just like shouting out.
Yeah. That's basically how I came up with the P-Kuttah.
And Dilla is just like legendary.
Yeah. Rest in peace, man. Yeah, that guy. But yeah, so when that was also the name changing. But then I ended up getting on East Coast Radio with Trevor Williams. I used to play on his show every Friday, and that really helped me a lot, man. Yeah,
like, especially at that time because they weren't like big into hip hop. Like.
No, not at all, man, not at all. You know, and I came with the technicality, and it was through that radio station was where a lot of DJs started hearing me, and I started influencing a lot of other DJs as well. Guys like Ryan the DJ.
Yeah, and Ryan.
And Ryan's amazing, man. Ryan is like my favorite hip hop DJ in South Africa. Period. Yo, that guy is.
I mean, he's probably. Like, it's hard to say the best, but like...
No, for me, he's the best. Like, because when I look at him, like, he has everything that a hip-hop DJ should have. Yeah. He has the technicality, he has the ability to rock a crowd, he has the ability to read a crowd. You know, he's a really, really dope DJ. And like, it's weird because I know I did influence him, but he credits me as, like, a teacher, and I'm like, but I never taught you, bro. You know what I mean?
Like, you
know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, but I do understand, and I'm very, very honored for him to say that about me. But like, I always give him his credit, you know, because I'm like, yo, dude, you did it on your own, you know.
Like when he won 3-star here in Durban.
Oh man, I was so proud of him, man. Like, I think I plugged his Instagram like the whole day, man. I was just like, dude, I'm so proud of you. You know, and he went further than any other South African DJ at the World Finals. You know, he made it to the semifinals, so that was even more proud. You know, because I was like, it was an ode, and it showed that how good this guy really was. You know,
and it must be cool to know that your influence, in a way, like kind of small little way, led to that. You know, like by being on East Coast Radio all those years ago. Like it inspired other people, because Durban does have a bit of a vinyl scene, like here, like we do have, but it's its own thing. Like it's separate from like a lot of the other. It's weird, like the party you're playing tonight, and you know the events you're playing tonight actually doesn't have like a lot of general hip hop DJing or like like turntablism kind of stuff.
Oh, I see.
That's all like done in like, you know, different areas. But there is such a dope scene like in Durban, where like, you know, Ryan comes from, and like
no doubt. And there's a lot of dope DJs, man, that have come out of Durban. Like, you know, Meath is another one who's also a Red Bull champion.
Oh yes.
I think 86. He won. I think the last year. Yes, he won last year. And then there was 86. If I'm getting his name, I hope I'm getting his name right. He's also really dope. I saw his video for Three Style. His what was it, rehearsal video or his promo video? But it was really dope. And like it was mad creative. And I was like, damn man, Durban's DJ scene is like turntablist DJ scene. The technical DJ scene is really on right now. Like it's dope. It's dope, and it's crazy that it's mostly the Indians though. You know, the Indian guys are like they really taking it seriously. And I'm like, you see, guys, why are you not like this? You know, like the color black white guys. This is where you should be. You know, you should take this shit seriously. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing about hip hop DJ, man. It's an art form. You know, it's not just a genre of DJing for you to just want to play music.
Yeah, you can't just beat match.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like this is the most like the hip hop DJs are considered the most skillful DJs of any genre.
Because it's really, really fucking difficult.
Yeah, you know, no doubt. Like the BPMs are like the way the beats are placed out. Yeah, exactly. It's very different. Yeah, some of them on a half count, some of them on a normal count. So yeah, it is a very difficult. I mean, I know house DJs that always used to tell me they couldn't mix hip hop.
Well, no,
and I'm like, no, guys. Like, look, like the theory is still the same. You know,
mixing 124 into 124 is pretty easy.
Yeah, no, it is. But even like, I mean, even when I started DJing, like, when I started learning how to mix, I used the same theory of just keeping the beats. You know, counting the beat. Like, as long as I knew where the kick and the snare was, I could count it. You know what I mean? And like, I don't understand why sometimes these guys can't do the same thing with hip hop, because it's like, yes, the beat might be off, but it's still in accounts, you know what I mean? So if you're counting it properly, you will get it.
But hip hop is a bit noisier, so I can understand people missing certain elements of it, you know.
No doubt. But I mean, hey, man, I just think you need to just listen to the music at the end of the day, because it's all rhythmical, man. Like, I can mix rock music, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
well, I mean, I can definitely imagine, like, so hip hop and rock actually do have a lot, like...
Yeah, because there's also a lot of off beats as well,
exactly.
Because of the drumming in rock music, but I mean, it's rhythmical, you know what I mean? You can mix it. So it's just about learning to count the music properly. If it's faster, count faster. If it's slower, count slower. You know what I mean? That's all you got to do. And you'll find it. You will eventually start getting the mix right.
We also have the issue these days, I guess, of people aren't really listening as much. You know, they're watching. Because they're playing off of, you know, Traktor, they're playing stuff like that. So they're watching everything line up on the computer screen. They're syncing things. So they're not... button. Yeah, exactly. So... You know, it's almost like kids these days don't even have the opportunity to develop those skills. Or they do, but they don't use that opportunity to develop those skills that you, like, had to learn. Because you literally had just that, you know. You don't have something telling you what your BPM is. You're counting.
Yeah, like, I mean, Bradley taught me that. Bionic taught me that, you know, when I started. Like, because I remember when he actually called me out because he was making a mixtape. And I was like, yo, man, like... Can I make the mixtape with you? And he's like, yo, but how you gonna make a mixtape when you can't even mix, you know? So I'm like, yo, man, then teach me. So he taught me, man, and the thing is, I picked it up really quick. It took me probably about 3 to 4 hours to get it right, but that's only because of my musical background, because I played drums when I was a kid.
Because that makes a lot of sense.
So the rhythm, you know, keeping a beat, it was very easy. As soon as he explained it to me, I was like, oh, okay, I know exactly how that works. And then I started practicing, and then I was getting it, and by 3 hours later, like, he was like, oh shit, you actually got it. And I was like, yo, okay, cool. He's like, and then he just kept throwing records at me, you know, just like, yo, try to mix this. Obviously, some of them I wasn't getting right because I had to learn how to use the pitch control still.
Yeah, so you know? Speed it up.
Yeah, speed it up and slow it down, and find where the timing was.
And that's once again very difficult on vinyl. Like,
man. That's why I always tell a lot of DJs. I'm like, especially DJs from the new school. I'm always like, look, man, I understand that technology is dope. I love it too because of the things you can do with it. But I always tell them, like, look, if you can learn to play on records on vinyl, you'll be a much better DJ, because there's no shortcut. You literally are working everything out for yourself. You know, there's no cue stop button, there's no sync, there's no BPM counter telling you how fast the song. No, you have to do this specifically from your ear and your skill. I recommend that to any DJ out there for any genre that you play. Like, if you really wanna understand and become better, especially with mixing, play off decks, man. Play off turntables. You'll learn really quickly. But then comes the problem of finding records to play with.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, what's the situation like these days when it comes to that? Because, you know, back in the day, like, it's almost like records were cheaper.
They were, man. Like, look, I still collect. I mostly collect like classic albums, like classic hip hop, R&B, whatever. And a lot of the time these things are hella expensive, man. Like, I remember I bought I think it was Travis Scott's Astroworld album for like
Probably like-
$600.
I was about to say, probably
And
like
I was
500,
like,
600.
yo, this is crazy, like how expensive this thing is, you know? And I remembered like back in the days, like 180 to 240 was like a full album. And
Yeah,
it's,
you pay the same price for CDs.
yeah, and a
like-
12-inch was like 80 rand or 100 rand, you know? Like it's crazy how very expensive it's now become. But it's also because like vinyl culture in South Africa still it died and now it's coming back, you know what I mean? And I think around the world it's also starting to improve more, you know, but vinyl culture. So
But
hopefully, yeah.
I know there was a big issue with regards to like vinyl culture becoming a big thing again, and that like a lot of the old printing presses closed down and there's fewer of them.
Oh yeah,
So
sure.
there's a lot. The reason why I've heard like the price of stuff has gone up is that there's fewer places making the things.
To
and
print.
there's way more
That
demand.
makes sense. That because I remember actually the where a lot of South African artists used to get their stuff
Zimbabwe.
printed was in Zimbabwe. Yes, it's very true. Yeah, that was the one place. But now I see that Vistax is gonna release a vinyl presser, a home vinyl presser that can fit 15 minutes of music on each side. So it's gonna be like
And singles.
a 8-inch, I think, right? Yeah. So because that's a 12. So yeah, the 8 is gonna be an 8-inch. And you can press
So
your
you can
own
do
music.
EP,
Yeah, you can press your own music and put all the latest music on a wax if you want to. That was pretty cool, but they haven't. It hasn't been put in mass production yet. They just explained the concept and they showed like what the machine would look like. But I would like
Everything
to.
will be white label.
I wonder how much it's gonna cost though, because like.
Well, the
I'm-
first one will be expensive, but like
Yeah.
5 years time, it'll like probably.
Hopefully, hopefully, yeah, because I mean a vinyl presser. I'm thinking it might
3D
be.
print a vinyl press.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might be like 40, 50K or something like that for that.
Yeah, but then if you think about it, I mean, you know, you can make that back.
Yeah, true. Yeah, if you're making records for other people, yeah, definitely, you can definitely make it back. So yeah, that's exciting, man. You know, and it's nice to see vinyl culture, you know, making a comeback. They just got to do something about those prices, though, man. Like at least make them 400 or something. You know, like 600 is just like damn. So if I want to buy 2 albums, I'm paying 1,200 rand. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Like with 1,200 back in the day, I could get 4 records, 5 records, full albums. You know.
But Serato has at least made that a little easier, though, like where you can just use their, like, I don't know what they're called, but like, you know, their dummy.
Oh, you're talking about the time code records?
Yes,
time coded records.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
yeah,
that-
no, that is dope.
I mean, obviously you want to play the originals. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
whole different experience when like you bring a crate like. To,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
a-
And there's a
and
party.
you're just selecting as you're going along. Like.
Yeah, sure. No, there's a party that I actually play in Joburg. I actually played there last week. It's called Crate Digging Society.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's an all vinyl party. So because of that party, because I'm like kind of like a resident there, so I play like every second month. And that party has actually made me start collecting again, you know, and I've been trying to collect most of the more like recent stuff,
It's
because
just
a lot of
awkward.
my stuff I have is like, you know, the old school stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to be that DJ that at least has some of the most recent stuff and being able to play it, you know.
And
So
mix it in with the older
yeah,
stuff.
you know,
and,
like
yeah.
so it's nice like for me to be able to play some shit and then drop Kendrick Lamar and people are like, what? Yo, you got this on record, you know? Like I even remember the one of the promoters of the event, Jozi. I can't remember what song it was I played. And he actually came to the DJ box to see if I was playing a record, because he was like, what? And he looked at me, he's like, okay, cool. So you got this on record. That's cool. So that's the one thing I like about it. It's like, yo, I've got this stuff on record. And you know, records are collector's items as well, man. Like, so that's pretty cool, man. So let's just do something about those prices, man. They
Yeah,
need to
because
go
it
down.
must be awkward when like you like basically spend your set fee on like 4 records kind of thing, like and you
Yo,
just, like
dude,
and you play
imagine,
one
bro.
song off of each like record. You like tonight's fee gonna be 4 songs like, for the next like gig, like.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, but it's fun, man. I enjoy playing off for records. It's so weird because like for years, man, I hadn't played an all vinyl set, and the day that they booked me for Creating in Society and I played a vinyl set, yo, I think that was possibly the most trashiest set I'd played in a while.
Because you're out of practice.
Because I was out of practice, man. Like, you know, the whole thing of looking for the record
the
and
timing and everything.
you know, and, like no, the mixing and everything was still
No,
cool.
but I mean like the timing of quickly.
Yeah,
going
exactly.
between
Yeah,
songs, like, you're like-
exactly. It's,
yeah.
it's crazy, man. And then also, you know, you kind of lose tact of like what BPM certain songs were, you know, like so now you kind of have to think like,
Oh,
fuck,
you gotta
was this-
remember,
yeah. Did you remember this? You know, I used to write BPMs on some of my records.
That's an old like
yeah, some of my
technique,
records, but there's some that don't have it. So I'd be like, damn, what was this BPM? You know, so that was when I was like, whoa, yo, I need to actually start practicing playing on records again more often. So I tried to do it like especially leading up to creating in society, I always try to like play like just for an hour, mess around, and then at the same time, because I've also got a lot of records, so I go through my stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't played this in a while, you know, and I'll put it in the crate and, you know, end up going to the party and just play some different stuff from the last time, you know, but yeah, but it's exciting, man. I hope that vinyl culture really does make a proper comeback. I mean, it won't. I don't think it will eclipse digital culture at all. But it would be really dope just to see more of vinyl parties.
Yeah, it's just access makes digital way easier.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that is so true. Like, yo, and that's also a problem that I have with digital with technology and digital technology of this day, is that it's made DJing so accessible that now you get celebrities and influencers and people becoming DJs, and it's like, what, you know, and they're taking jobs from actual DJs, you know,
and they're getting bigger fees.
Yeah, and they're getting bigger fees because they have bigger followings because they're celebrities and so
they bring more people.
You know, and it's just like
that's
man,
business, but it's like it's not art.
But you know, like for me, look, I'm not against anybody making their money. You know what I mean? Because when I came up, nobody was trying to block me from doing shit. You know, because I was more technically gifted than the next DJ. Everyone was like, oh, do your thing. So I'm like, yo, do your thing, but also realize that by you doing this, you're actually hurting the culture more than anything else. You know what I mean? Like, because the thing with me when it comes to that is that the next generation or the upcoming generation see you as a DJ and they see what you're doing and they think that's the standard.
Well, that's the thing. You had people teach you what the actual standard was, and like you showed other people like what the standard was.
Yes, exactly. Now this new generation, they're not showing anything. All they're showing is that you can get a laptop, get a controller, use USBs, play a top 40 set, you know, as long as you know what's hot on the charts, and you can get away with it.
We used to get submitted so many mixes like that for DWR because we had like a mix section on the thing, and I used to listen to them and just like so many of them were just like the exact same songs. Because
these kids are just, they're looking at the charts, you know, like, and it's so weird because like you have the music is there, man, like, you know, you have access to this like infinite library of music on the net. You can
almost always play songs that
exactly. That's the thing. So like we've become more lazier, I think, when it comes to doing research for music. You know, we've definitely. But it's so weird because the access is there. But we'd rather just take the easy route out. You know, because DJs have become the new celebrities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now everyone wants to DJ because they want to be celebrities and they want to make money and they want to get girls or get guys. You know what I mean? And that is the wrong reason to do it. You know what I mean? Because if you're not passionate about it, then you're just messing up the culture even more.
And you're just gonna do it for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And then you're gonna be like, okay, I'm tired now, and you're off to the next, on to the next one.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I don't really like about technology right now.
But I'm sure you've seen that in the DJing scene for a while with or without technology, you know, the celebrity culture aspect to it. Like think about like Gareth Cliff being a DJ, you know, like he used to play at 54 all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's not like the guy like, you know, can DJ. Like he can play songs.
Actually, now that I remember listening to Gareth one day and I was just like, yo, this guy is terrible actually. You know, I was like, wow.
He kind
of, I thought he was like a proper DJ, and I was like, no, he's actually
a lot of the 5FM people
like not.
Like some of them are fantastic.
Obviously. No doubt. No, there are a few. There are a few. Kid Funk.
Yeah,
there are a few that are really, really dope. I mean, Ryan is also on 5FM as well. Yeah, so there are some dope DJs that are there.
But back in the day, like when you had like the celebrity 5FM DJ thing, where they would play like 3 gigs in a night, you know, like at like all the pigs nights and stuff. Like,
actually, funny enough, when I think about it, back in the day, my favorite 5FM DJ was Derek the Bandit. Because he was such a rock star, man.
Yeah.
Like that guy. And he could play as well.
He had good music.
Yeah, he could play as well, but he was such a rock star. And that's why I liked him. I actually liked him more of a personality than as an actual DJ. Because like the way he handled things and the way he was like seen in the public, like everyone knew he was this wild ass guy, you know, that would snort coke off of fucking records while they were spinning, you know, like crazy shit like that Derek used to do. But no one ever like looked at him and judged him because everyone knew, yo, this is how this guy is.
That's what he sold you.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't try to keep a squeaky clean image. He was like, yo man, I'm a rock star, you know, I'm out here, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You know, that's what I used to love about Derek, man. Like he was just like, he loved DJ culture like crazy, man. Like, and I just saw now, like a few weeks ago, he's still DJing. I was like, yo, Derek is still out here. I'm like, wow, that is so crazy. It's so good to see him. He's still out there DJing and pushing what he loves. Because that's how you really see you can tell, you can tell the difference between the people that are about it and the people that aren't about it. Like, never ever has a thought in my mind occurred where I was like, you know what, I think I'm done with DJing.
I was actually
mean,
going to ask you that, like, as a question in this interview, has there been those moments where, like, because, I mean, but, like, it seems like it kind of worked out for you fairly early on, so you never...
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But, I mean, look...
Were there those moments early on where you were
look... I would say not in the early stages of my career, because I was very confident that I was gonna make it and that I would get there eventually.
What made you think that? You just knew you were good.
And also that because I could see that, like I told you, that there was a gap. There was no one was owning this whole thing of being like the hip hop DJ in Durban. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, I can do this. Because one, I've got this skill. Two, I'm a good DJ. I've got a good ear. I know how to read crowds really well. So I was really confident that I could do it.
But you didn't think people aren't going to open the doors to me, like?
No, not at all, because there was nobody.
Okay.
Like there was nobody. Like there was
just ample
opportunity.
So
there was ample opportunity, man. You just had to know how to work it, and I worked it. You know what I mean? And it ended up working in my favor, and I got all these opportunities. And which were great.
But then from there, because it's been a 20-year career.
Yeah. But when I moved to Joburg, there were doubts, because Joburg is a different beast, man. You come from a city where you're like the guy, because I was like the hip hop DJ in Durban, you know what I mean? And when I got to Joburg,
you're a hip hop DJ.
Yeah, I'm a hip hop DJ now. But on top of that, I'm a hip hop DJ that's dope. I'm better than most of the guys in Joburg. Exactly. So I was being gated a bit. You know what I mean? People weren't giving me opportunities because they were afraid of me
taking... still like that.
Yeah, they will always be, man. They will always be. And people are just afraid of you. And it's like, guys, you don't need to be afraid of me, because I'm not here to take your spot. I'm just here to make and create my own lane. I'm not gonna be playing in every club like you guys are playing. I wanna do things more experimental. I wanna play for crowds with a better ear, as compared to playing for crowds that are just coming to hear radio hits.
Just a Friday night.
You know what I mean? That was my thing. And the first 2 years that I moved back to Joburg were a bit tough. But I was lucky in a sense of that I had really, I had a lot of industry friends. When I arrived in Joburg, one of the first guys that actually gave me a shout was the LES from Jozi. Yeah. So he gave me a shout, and he was like, "Yo, Kuttah, how you moved to Joburg? You don't even tell me you're in the city." And I'm like, "Oh no, man, I just thought you would be too busy." He's like, "Nah, man." He's like, "Yo, let's meet, because I might have some work for you." And we met, and I ended up DJing for Jozi for a year, and that really helped me out because it put money in my pocket, one, and it put me into spaces where I was meeting people and going to clubs where I was meeting promoters. And I was like, "Oh, I'm a club DJ as well. I play music as well. I don't only just DJ for Jozi. So if you have any opportunities that open, please let me know." And then it got to a point where I was getting hollered at by like the likes of SAHHA and Latinova and the Bank when they were all still open in Joburg back then. I started getting booked at these places, and then it eventually, I started getting recognized a bit more.
Once you get into those spaces, and you do a good job, people talk.
But then I got bored of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got bored of it. I got bored of
the culture
of clubbing in Joburg.
Yeah.
Not DJing, clubbing in Joburg, because it got to a point of where people weren't even trying to hear when I was playing. Yeah, when I was playing music that was dope but wasn't popular. So I played tracks that are banging. The beat is sick. The rapper is nice.
But they've never heard it
before.
They've
never heard it before, and they just don't open up to it. So they just look at you, or they go to the bar, and now the next thing you're playing for like 6 people on the floor.
Every
and
DJ
then and it got to the point where I was like, man, fuck this shit. I'm trying to educate, because that's the thing about a DJ. You're supposed to educate the crowd at the same time while entertaining them.
Exactly. You've got this love of music.
Yeah, And that's the thing, I would say out of 100% of the DJs in Joburg, probably about 30% of them can do that. The rest of them just play generic sets. You know what I mean? And it just becomes boring, man. It became too boring for me. So I left the club scene completely. I was like, yo, fuck this. I don't want to play in the club scene anymore. I want to look at events that focus on good music.
So like festivals?
Yeah, not even festivals, but just these other guys that were doing smaller events that just, where you could play dope music. Events, yeah, no, not necessarily pop-up. There were guys that were doing monthly events, you know what I mean, type thing, yeah. So I was looking more towards that, and then just by chance, around the same time that I had moved to Joburg, there was this homie that I used to liaison with from Cape Town. His name was DJ ID, but everybody now knows him as Akio Kawaito. And he started this company called Kool Out Concepts.
Yeah.
In Cape Town, and he used to do like these dope ass hip hop parties, man. Like I used to always read about them in the Hype magazine.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, wow, like this
seeing
looks so
photos,
dope,
yeah.
you know. And then I finally got a chance when I went to Cape Town. And my one friend actually was like, "Yo, man, I want to take you to this place called Waiting Room." But he didn't tell me it was Kool Out. He just told me the place. So when I get there, I see Akio, and I'm like, "Yo, this is Kool Out." He's like, "Oh, you know Kool Out?" I'm like, "Yo, I know this guy." So I immediately go up to Akio, and I'm like, "Yo, dude, I am such a big fan of this event, you know." And he's like, "Oh, cool, man." He's like, "Yo, what's your name?" I'm like, "Yo, I'm P-Kuttah." He's like, "Holy shit, you're P-Kuttah," you know. So now we're meeting, and you know, we're building this relationship, and then it got to a point where he was like, "Okay, cool, yo, man, I want to do some stuff in Durban. Can I holler at you whenever I come down?" I was like, "Yo, cool, man," and then I'll do the same in Cape Town. They're like, "Cool." So we built this relationship. So when I moved to Joburg, he also moved to Joburg. And he moved Kool Out with him. He was
Because
like,
I was going to say, I know
yeah.
Kool Outs as well as being like a Joburg thing more than a Cape Town.
Yeah, but it started in Cape Town, yeah.
Okay.
So when he brought it to Joburg, he hit me up and he was like, "Yo, man, listen, you know, I really respect you a lot as a DJ and I want you to be a part of this thing. Would you be interested in joining Kool Out?" I was like, "Hell yeah." You know, because this is like right up my alley, you know, and these are guys that focus on good music, you know. And then we started building Kool Out in Joburg, and you know, it was a really dope. I mean, we were in Joburg for 9 years.
Yeah.
And it was a dope experience, man. Like I owe a lot to Akio, especially being in Joburg. You know, he helped me as well when it came to like just getting me into certain spaces, because he always believed in my talent. He was like, "Dude, you're like one of the best DJs in South Africa. You need to be in these spaces." You know, and he's also a really dope DJ himself. So at the same time, he's helping me. He's helping himself. He's trying to help the company. You know what I mean? And it was dope, man. We did some crazy shows, brought down some crazy internationals. You know, I had some of the dopest experiences working with Kool Out. And then unfortunately last year we all decided, we're gonna go our separate ways and just rather like, you know, end Kool Out on a high, because it was getting to the point of where we had two options. It was either we close Kool Out or we try to reinvent it. And because it was starting to die out. I mean, like for 9 years, we were extremely consistent, you know.
And now there's other things that are also popping up.
Exactly, yeah. And it's actually weird because a lot of the events that popped up were events that were influenced by us.
Yes.
And they had a lot of like our style in the DJs and the music that they would play.
Still kind of do.
Yeah, no, true that. I mean, but we don't look at it and like, fuck these guys, you know. We're just like, oh, you know, look at how many people we influenced in the industry. You know, so we were just
actually
like
had an impact on culture and that.
Yeah,
So it's like it's weird how people complain about battering and stuff like that sometimes, when it's more like kind of, but also you know, like you were inspired by other people, they were inspired by you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, man, I just think it's using a formula but finding your own way to do it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like if you're just completely biting the concept, that's some messed up shit.
Obviously.
But if you're using the formula and you're making it in your own way, I'm cool with that. Like, you know, but you better book me for your event as well. You know what I mean? So we had our meeting last year, September, and it just kind of seemed like everybody had this, you know, they were no longer attached to the brand. And also, and you know, no, it does, man. That's life, man. That's not the first events company I've been a part of that, you know, ended up, you know, shutting down. I helped form Run DBN with A1 Wolf,
really?
you know. So that was the first, you know, that was the first company that I left. You know, they were. You know what I mean? So it wasn't the first company. I mean, it was sad to see it come to an end. But you know, I look at what these guys are doing now, what Akio is doing now with his event Stress Free, you know, and he's touring the world.
Okay.
Yeah, he's touring the world doing it, you know what I mean? Because Akio's originally from the States, you know. He's actually Japanese, Dutch, American. Fucking crazy combination. So he has access to all these places, man. He can do shit in the States, he can do shit in Asia, he can do shit in Europe. And that's what he's doing. He's finally built a brand where you can take it anywhere in the world and make it successful. So that's his plan now, like, cause,
that's amazing.
you know, because he's the oldest out of all of us, and he's getting to that point of his life where he's like, yo, he needs to make it happen now, else it's never gonna happen. So he's like going full out, you know, to do it, and it's good to see it working for him. And then our other partner, Vanessa, she got out of the club scene and out of events, and she started her own yoga studio, and now she's opened her own vegan cafe. And she's doing very well right now. So you know, it's dope to see how the guys have moved on from that, you know.
For yourself, business-wise, what are you doing? Because
So,
obviously you've
yeah.
been DJing.
Yeah, no
forever,
doubt.
like-
So I decided to take a different direction. Because for 9 years, not that I neglected my DJing and my artistry, but it came second to the events.
Of course.
Because the events were making the money.
Yeah.
So I kind of like wasn't as focused on it as I used to be
You were
before I joined
promoter
Kool
and
Out.
DJ,
Yes,
not DJ
exactly.
promoter,
That's what
yeah.
it became. So when Kool Out shut down, I decided, you know what, I want to focus on my artistry again. I want to, you know, like
Yeah, so
focus on making my own EP because I've always been wanting to do it and I've been trying to do it,
Yeah,
but it's just never
the
really
only thing I've seen
came
you
about.
produce
Yeah.
is with Stogie.
Yeah, I mean, no, I've done other stuff as well.
No, but that's the only thing I've
yeah,
seen.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
because that was more recently. But I've done other stuff. I've done stuff for Kid X. I've done
Oh,
stuff
okay,
for
yeah, of course you have. Yeah, yeah.
for Cooley China, for Reason. So yeah, I've done a few things here and there. But I've never really taken it seriously enough to actually try and make a career, like to become either a producer or something like that, or you know, or build these crazy DJ sets that I can take around the world. And you know, it's not just playing music, it's also making music on the spot and finger drumming and
Yeah.
you know, turntablism. Like that's what I want to do now. I want to
You want to
focus
push your skills.
back. Yeah, I want to focus back on my artistry and start making music, you know, like that's my focus. But I mean, there are a few ideas for events that I have. There's a really dope concept. I wish I could share it, but I don't want to jinx it. But there's this really dope concept that I want to do, and hopefully bring it to Durban and also take it to Cape Town.
Okay.
Yeah, it will. One thing I can say about it is it's definitely gonna push DJ culture,
Nice.
like hectically, because that's like the main theme of it is I want to push DJ culture. So we'll
which
see.
aspects? Because do you battle much or?
No,
Like,
I hung up
you
my
don't-
gloves my battling gloves in 2014.
Okay.
That was the last DJ battle that I did.
Was that before Three Star started and stuff? Or was
No,
that when-
3 Star had actually started. Actually, that year, and it started. And I don't even remember, I was a bit upset that they didn't holler at me. But I ended up doing a tag year DJ battle.
Okay.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool because I had international DJs that came down to battle as well.
Sick.
Yeah, and I came second, unfortunately. Because I like, you know, like, I was like, man, I fucked it up. And then they were like, oh, this guy won. I'm like, oh, but fuck that guy. You know what I mean? Well, I didn't actually say that out loud, but in my mind, I was like, oh, come on, I was better.
Yeah.
You know, but the guy that won it actually me and him became really good friends. His name's DJ Ron. He's from Switzerland.
Okay.
Very, very dope DJ. He actually just won Red Bull Freestyle this year for Switzerland.
Okay.
So he'll be at the World Finals. Very, very cool dude, man. Like we became really good friends. So that was the last time that I battled, and I was
That's
just
not
like,
something
yeah.
you're looking getting back into, like.
I don't know,
with
maybe
that
if I ever feel the need to, I might. But I'm very much. You know what? Actually, funny enough,
Especially
I think
like
there
with guys
is-
like Gremlin
yeah.
and Ryan out there at the moment, like it would be a good competition.
Yeah,
to
no
see you
doubt, no
against,
doubt.
right?
And what I was actually just about to say was that there is a possibility because I mean, with these sets that I'm building, you know, these entertainment DJ performance sets.
Yeah.
Those are very, very like Red Bull 3 style sets, you know,
Exactly.
because they contain music, they contain creativity, originality, skill. You know what I mean? And this is what Red Bull Freestyle is about right now. So you never know. Maybe one day I'll just be like, let me just try it out. You know, let me try to enter Red Bull Freestyle. But since then, like I've just like the events were the main thing. And now I just want to get back into like my artistry. You know, and just doing different stuff, man. Like especially like with the DJ sets that I do. I also work with a drummer as well, so I do like DJ drumming sets. I used to have this band called what am I saying? Honestly, that's my other band. Shout out to all the T.H.O.T.S fans out there, the Thought fans. But I had another band that I actually created.
T.H.O.T.S on the Sea was amazing. Like
T.H.O.T.S that was my favorite. Like even though I made my own band, but T.H.O.T.S on the Sea was my favorite band that I was a part of. And I mean, we achieved a lot of dope shit for a band from Durban. Yes, definitely. We could have definitely gone further. I always think about it, and I'm always like, man, we should have actually never left Durban. We should have just stayed in Durban. But I just think we wanted to try.
Success.
We
wanted
to try, and there was a lot of interest, man. We had Universal Records that were interested. We had Motif Records, which Tumi from Stogie T. It was his record label. He was interested.
I mean, that would have
so
been
there was,
amazing.
man. But I just think, you know, egos and just the inability to try and make shit work when shit is not working.
And being young,
it was what was messed it up. And you know, other guys started moving back to Durban, and
being
you know,
a
it's just
band
like,
without like a proper like manager or like a band dad or band mom, like who can like really keep everyone together.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that was the thing. We didn't have management at that when we moved because we left we were managed by this guy named Ruben Thomas. Yeah, and so when we left his stable, we had nobody in Joburg. We were actually this one guy named Bernie Mac. What am I saying? Bernie Mac? Hardy Mac. Sorry, Hardy Mac.
Oh, no, Harvey.
You know Hardy, yeah. So Hardy Mac was actually very interested.
He did street cred.
Yes, he did street cred. Yeah, so he was very interested in managing us. And he actually put us on street cred when they had street cred the second year in Joburg.
Which one? I went to the one that was like, in Maboneng.
In Maboneng, yeah, because they had two in Maboneng. Yeah, so the first street cred was in 2010, and then in 2011 they had it in Joburg. Okay. And it was in Maboneng.
Yeah.
And then they had it again in 2012 in Maboneng. So we got put on the 2011 one. We were put on as a band.
Yeah, I think I was there. It was the year.
That was the same year. Yes, I was about to say that was the same year the Theophilus London came down. So we got put on that. He put us on that, but it just never really worked out. And then obviously, like I said, with everything else that was happening, and then the band ended up splitting up. But yeah, that was great, man. I mean, we released an album. We won SA Battle of the Bands. Yeah. We were the first band from Durban to win it.
I remember Trails on the Sea was like a shining light for Durban for like a little while. Especially when you guys left as well. We were all like, band's gonna make it.
Yeah, man. Look, I think we all shared that sentiment because we knew we were dope, man. Yeah. We had something. Talents, yeah, we had something that no other band in the country had. It was just. Yeah, I think if everyone could have found their feet properly in Joburg and the egos didn't get in the way, I think it could have still worked out. But there's talks, man. I've talked of a reunion show.
Oh, nice.
Me, Raheem, and Ross have been actually talking about it. So we'll see, man. It might happen this year. I hope it does. It would be really nice to jam again with the guys. But I know that Dylan, the guitarist, is moving to the UK very soon.
He's in Joburg at the moment, or is he back in Durban?
No, he's here. Okay. He moved back, but he's moving to the UK. So we're hoping. Dylan Silk. So we're hoping that we can either do it before he leaves, or maybe he'll just have to come back when he comes to visit, and we'll try to, program or schedule it for around that time.
And your other band that you started?
So my other band was called STTA, Sampling Through the Ages.
Your initialization.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't really initialize it when I started it. I was just like Sampling Through the Ages, and the reason why I called it that was because it was a concept band, so there was no front man, there was no singer, there was no rapper. It was a drummer, 2 DJs. And a producer that were in the band. The producer also sang as well, but he kind of acted as our hype man. Yeah. So the way we used to approach our sets was like a DJ set being performed live. So you have 2 DJs, the guys on the drums. He's also got an MPC.
How do you coordinate that though?
It was a lot of work. I won't lie, but it was because we all shared the same goal. And we all were like very much in link with one another when it came to the type of music that we wanted to create and to play. It made it pretty easy, man. It wasn't really that hectic for us to
synced up nicely.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It wasn't that hectic.
Because that concept sounds pretty difficult to do.
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, like a lot of people didn't understand it, especially when they saw us perform. They were like, okay, what are you guys actually doing? And then eventually people started picking up on it, and we started getting recognized. And Trias. What am I saying? STTA was like. We were only around for 3 years. We were banned for 3 years. And in those 3 years, we achieved a lot, like more than most bands achieve. We played Cape Town Jazz Fest.
Do you think your previous experiences had helped you with that?
I think it helped me in a sense of how to actually navigate it and make it work, and try to make the sound also more appealing. Okay. You know what I mean? And all the musicians except for the producer, who was Jonique. But myself, the other DJ, who was DJ Reiko, and a drummer who was J Star, who used to drum for Lira. So we all had musical backgrounds. We had worked with different artists. We had worked in live bands.
It wasn't your first band, because those are usually terrible. They work out badly, and you manage yourselves badly. You don't know how to negotiate. You don't know how to
No, we actually had a manager.
Once you've had some experience in everything, you go cool. Well, we need to do this. We need to do that, because you know where you failed before.
Sure. Yeah, no. I mean, our experiences definitely did help us, and then we had this one lady, Levi, who was actually helping us out with management.
Levi.
Levi's Indian lady.
I can't remember her name. I think I know who she is.
Yeah, she people do know her. She's known as an artist manager.
Yeah, I know that.
She tried to help us out, man. Shame. But we did a lot, man. I mean, Cape Town Jazz Fest, for a band that was only together for 3 years. We played Cape Town Jazz Fest in our second year.
Yeah, it's not easy to get.
And it's not, man. I mean, we did Rocking the Daisies. We did
done that for
yeah,
under
the
3
Standard
years.
Standard Bank Jazz Festival. We did that as well. We played right before Jamiroquai. You know what I mean? So like yo, for a band that was together for 3 years, we accomplished a lot. And unfortunately, one of our bandmates' wife passed away. And yeah, that kind of just threw everything into disarray because he had lost his passion for music after that.
I can imagine, man.
And just out of respect, we just thought it wouldn't be dope for us because he was like, yo, he's done. He has no passion for music anymore.
You can't replace him.
Yeah, and we didn't want to replace him. And then we thought, okay, let it just be the three of us. And then we were like, nah, just out of respect, man, let's not do that. Let's rather just either do something different or just end it there. And so it was like, okay, cool. And yeah, we stopped STTA there. But me and J Star, the drummer, still work a lot together. And Jonique he's actually doing pretty well right now as a producer. He has some of his stuff featured on Soul Selection already.
Okay.
So so he's doing really well. And we still meet up and we still like jam together and we make music together. I've produced stuff for Jonique. He's produced stuff for me as well. So it's sad. It was sad to see it had to come to an end because it was original, man. There was nothing like that in the world. You know what I mean? There was nothing like that in the world. And we influenced a few bands as well, like Johnny Cradle. They were heavily influenced by us when they saw us. They were like, wow, like, these guys are so dope. They use all this equipment, and stuff. And they were like, wow, because I had my decks and I had my MPC as well. So I'd use that like just to adding layers and stuff like that. So they saw that and they were like, oh, this is so dope. We should do this, And then they started their thing. And they did Johnny Cradle. Yeah, it is different, but it would like I said, the formula was the same, but they did it in their own way. And I love Johnny Cradle, man. Like I was like, wow, this is a dope band, Patiently waiting for their next album. They took a bit of a break because I did see Laz, the DJ, a few weeks ago, and he was telling me now they're just taking a break, but they have a second album already. They recorded the second album, but yeah, well, the one of the guys is actually busy with his solo album, so they're gonna push his first, and then they're gonna release the second Johnny Cradle album. So I was like, okay, dope, man. As long as you guys are still doing your thing, don't let that shit die, man, because it's sad to see something with so much potential just go to waste, Not that STTA went to waste. We had our reasons for why we ended the band.
You were a time period,
Yeah, no doubt. But it was dope, man. It was an amazing experience. Fuck, man. We opened for Mobb Deep as well, so... You know what I mean? So
you didn't do the Durban show, did you? No.
Which one?
Mobb Deep.
No. Mobb Deep only did Joburg.
Okay.
Because that was for Sprite Uncontainable.
Oh yes,
that was
yes.
Sprite Uncontainable.
I was thinking of this other gig that I can't remember who it was, and I thought Mobb Deep came to them, but it's some other vibe. But anyway, I was gonna say, how's your EP coming along?
I mean, it's getting there because I'm trying to do the majority of it on my own in terms of production. I don't consider myself a producer yet. I'm still learning. But I'm getting better, like when I play my beats to people, they're like, oh, this is actually pretty dope, like you've got something here, but also with producing or with anything that you want to learn, the more you keep doing it, the better you become in it.
Well, what are the differences when it comes to producing versus like DJing? Because obviously DJing, you can literally produce new music out of, different songs, and I'm sure you do that a lot. But then how, like when you're producing, do you take samples or do you take instruments or do you...
any process that feels comfortable at the time, like if I hear a sample that I like, then I'll sample. If I can come up with a pattern with a layer that, I played myself that I think sounds really good, and I'll start building around it, I would say it's almost the same. It's very similar to DJing. Yeah, for me, it's very, very similar. Yeah,
fit together.
Yeah, exactly. And then I also add in like elements of the DJing as well on my beats, like adding like a little cut here or there or something like that, or even like trying to play a layer by doing a scratch. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's coming along, man.
And how does it affect your DJing? Like, do you hear more stuff in songs now, like, or?
No, I wouldn't say. I think it's still the same, basically. Okay. Yeah, I think it's still the same. I think the only difference now is the way that I can manipulate certain sounds and stuff. Because when you manipulate something as a turntablist, it's different to manipulating something as a producer. Yeah. So that's the difference that I would say that I have with it. Is the manipulation of sound is very different from producing to DJing.
Okay.
So that's the thing. But I mean, I'm hoping to have this thing done before the end of the year, hopefully. If not. No, I didn't put myself out too much pressure. But I would say towards the end of the year. Definitely this year. I definitely want to push it out this year.
Are you scared, like, or you?
Yeah, of
feeling,
course.
okay.
Yeah, of course, man. I am nervous, because it's my first project. It's my own project.
And you're not feeling as confident about it as like you are about your DJing.
Oh yeah, shot. Because this is unknown territory for
Yeah.
me. But to like, I'm not looking to like blow up off of it. All I want is I just want people to listen to it, to understand what I'm trying to do as a producer and as a DJ and as an artist. And if they appreciate it, man, then that's just the icing on the cake. You know what I mean? Because my plan was, I'm gonna release this EP, and if the response is good, then I was gonna be like, yo, I'm gonna try to do an album. But if the response is like mediocre or not good at all, then it'll just be one of those things of like, at least I tried. I put my own shit out there.
Sure,
you know
but
I mean?
like even if people don't like it, who used to say your album won't do better?
Yeah, true. That is very true. I think at the end of the day, it just depends on how I feel about it personally once it comes out. But I don't think it will stop me from making music. I don't think so at all.
Just by releasing.
Yeah. Like, I mean, because like there's a lot of artists. Like I said, I've produced for a few artists. So there's always that opportunity. Yeah, there's always that opportunity to still produce for other people instead of doing my own stuff. But we'll see, man. Like, I'm trying to build a concept around it so that the story kind of becomes the narrative of the music as opposed to just it being music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I need people to understand that, I'm a DJ and I'm getting into this production thing. You know what I mean? So don't expect, because I'm a hip hop DJ, now you're gonna hear trap songs and shit like that. No, you're gonna hear different styles of music. You're gonna some of them are gonna be beats, some of them are gonna be with rappers that I know and that I respect and they respect me. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be interesting. I think once I'm done with it and I've finally got the concept right and I can start recording it and get this package completed and then release it, and then we'll see, man, what people think about it.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of interesting in that, like, in comparison to a DJ set, it's forever,
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
The music will always be there, yeah.
Like, if you, don't like something about a DJ set you played, and you think about it the next day, you're like, oh, I can just change that next time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
You can always forget
once
about
it's
it.
released,
Oh, yes, everybody has it. Yeah, everybody has it. So that's the one thing. But at least, what I'm mostly excited about is the fact that I've got a lot of support from my industry friends that want to actually jump on the record with me. Guys like Reason, Ginger Trill, Rouge, Pretty Ugly, Kid.
Like that's,
because I've mentioned it to some of them, and they're like, wow, really? You're making your own EP?
They're
like, you're making an EP? Like, yo, man, just tell us, we'll be there. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm. So that's what I'm excited about, is that I've got support from some of my favorite local artists, and now it's just about putting this shit together, man, and releasing it and hoping that people understand it and enjoy it at the same time.
Sweet. Well, I think that brings us to the end of this chat. It's been
really
dope.
Yeah, very dope, very insightful. I like being able to touch on these certain things about it, especially about being in the industry, man, because a lot of people don't see the nitty-gritty that goes on behind you. All you see is the success, but a lot of people don't understand that there's a lot of shit that happens behind the scenes as well, a lot of backstabbing, a lot of lying, but when you eventually do make it, it's good, but you got to keep yourself, composed and in check, man, because as soon as as quick as you can get it, you can lose it as quickly as well.
Yeah, that's the scary thing.
Yeah.
But one of the things I also think people are going to get out of this is just like a history of Durban that they didn't really know,
Oh, wow. I don't even think I really touched on a lot, to be honest. There's a lot more that happened.
We'll have to do this again, because I know, you DJ for Toya and,
no doubt. Yeah, that would be dope to touch on. But, yeah, man, I hope to come down back really soon. I want to try and do Durban as much as possible this year. Because like I was telling you earlier, like I get more love in Cape Town than I do in Durban, but I really want to, it's a very, very new generation, but at the same time, the guys that are the gatekeepers or guys that I know here, you know what I mean? So I still have the ability, I have the contacts, and I still have the possibility to still, penetrate Durban properly. So I'm hoping that I will do that, man, and I just want to also say thank you to Ryan and Mitchell for bringing me down for Roots Up. I really look forward to the event. I've actually, before they even asked me to come through, I was already a fan of the event, because I'm a fan of any event that celebrates creativity
and pushes different kinds
of genres and styles. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I appreciate about what Roots Up does, is they're continually trying to bring different things in front of you.
No doubt.
They'll give you some popular stuff as well, But like, yeah, like you'll be dancing to the popular stuff, and then someone you've never heard of will come on. And,
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
And people will stay dancing, which is dope. Like that's what I like about the culture.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I really look forward to that. Damn, I know this podcast will probably come out after.
It's on next week Wednesday.
Is it? Alright, cool. So hopefully you would have come through and checked my set out and liked what I did. And thank you for supporting. Thank you for always coming through, and thank you, Bob, for having me on the podcast, man. I really look forward to coming down again and continuing this conversation a bit.
Yeah, man. Same.
Shut.
Later, bro.
Easy.